In today's world, the mind rarely rests. From the moment you wake up until you finally fall asleep, thoughts race through your head without permission. You replay conversations that happened days ago. You imagine worst-case scenarios for things that haven't even happened yet. You analyze every text message, every look, every decision you made or didn't make. This constant mental noise steals your peace, drains your energy, and keeps you stuck in cycles of anxiety and indecision. If you are watching this right now, there is a very good chance that overthinking has become a daily battle for you. You are not alone. Millions of people in 2026 are trapped in the same invisible prison of their own thoughts. The good news is that the ancient Stoics faced the exact same problem more than 2,000 years ago and developed practical techniques that still work with remarkable effectiveness today. In this video, you will learn the most powerful Stoic methods to stop overthinking everything and finally reclaim control of your mind. These are not fluffy motivational ideas. These are battle-tested practices used by Marcus Aurelius while running the Roman Empire, by Seneca while facing exile and loss, and by Epictetus while living as a slave. When you apply them consistently, they quiet the mental storm and bring a deep, lasting calm that feels almost unnatural in our noisy modern world. Let us begin with understanding why overthinking happens in the first place, and why the Stoic approach is uniquely effective at solving it. Overthinking is not just excessive thinking. It is thinking that has lost its purpose. The mind starts with a legitimate concern or decision, but instead of reaching a conclusion and moving forward, it loops endlessly, adding layers of fear, regret, and imaginary outcomes. This creates a vicious cycle. The more you overthink, the more anxious you become, and the more anxious you become, the more you overthink. Modern psychology calls this rumination, and it is one of the strongest predictors of anxiety and depression. The Stoics understood this pattern perfectly, even without the language of clinical psychology. They saw that the root cause of overthinking is almost always the same. We are giving our attention to things that are not up to us. We worry about other people's opinions, about future outcomes we cannot control, about past events we cannot change. Epictetus taught that all human suffering comes from mistaking things that are not up to us for things that are. When your mind is constantly chewing on the uncontrollable, it has no choice but to overthink. The Stoic solution is therefore simple in theory but profound in practice. Train your mind to focus only on what is truly within your power. Your judgments, your efforts, your responses, and your character. Everything else must be released. This single shift is the foundation of mental freedom. When you stop feeding thoughts about the uncontrollable, the mind naturally becomes quieter. It stops spinning because there is less fuel for the fire. This is not about suppressing thoughts or forcing positive thinking. It is about redirecting your attention with discipline and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every single day while dealing with wars, betrayals, and the immense pressure of ruling an empire. He wrote in his private journal that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are constantly racing toward things outside your control, your life will feel chaotic. If your thoughts are anchored in what is up to you, your life becomes steady and strong. The first Stoic technique you can start using today is the simple but powerful question: is this up to me? Every time you catch your mind beginning to spiral, pause and ask that question honestly. Is this other person's opinion up to me? No. Is the outcome of this meeting up to me? Only partially. Is my past mistake up to me now? No, it is already done. Is my effort and attitude right now up to me? Yes. When you answer honestly, you immediately see where your energy should go. You stop feeding the overthinking loop and redirect your focus to productive action or calm acceptance. This technique alone can cut your daily overthinking by half if you practice it consistently for just 1 week. The mind is like a muscle. The more you train it to ask, "Is this up to me?" the faster and more automatic the response becomes. Over time, the mental chatter quiets down because you are no longer giving it unlimited attention and emotional fuel. The second powerful Stoic technique for stopping overthinking is amor fati, the love of fate. When you overthink, you are usually fighting reality in your mind. You are arguing with what has already happened or fearing what might happen. Amor Fati teaches you to stop arguing with reality and start loving it instead. This does not mean you become passive or stop taking action. It means you meet whatever life brings with the attitude, "This is exactly what I needed for my growth." Marcus Aurelius faced constant betrayal, illness, and the heavy burden of leadership, yet he reminded himself daily to accept the things to which fate binds him and to love them with all his heart. When you begin to practice Amor Fati, you take away the emotional charge that fuels overthinking. Instead of thinking, "This should not be happening," you begin to think, "This is happening, and I will find a way to grow from it." This shift is incredibly liberating. Suddenly, the mind has less reason to spin endless scenarios because you are no longer at war with what is. You can still plan, prepare, and take action, but you do it from a place of acceptance rather than resistance. In daily life, this looks like catching yourself when you start replaying a difficult conversation and gently reminding yourself, "Amor Fati. This happened. Now, how can I respond with wisdom and strength?" Over weeks and months, this practice rewires your default response from rumination to calm reflection. The third Stoic technique is memento mori, the deliberate remembrance that you will die. At first glance, this may sound morbid, but the Stoics used it as one of the most effective tools against overthinking. When you remember that your time on earth is limited, trivial worries lose their power. You stop obsessing over small slights, imaginary future disasters, or endless analysis of what others think of you. Marcus Aurelius kept death close as a constant companion. He knew that awareness of mortality creates urgency and clarity. In 2026, with endless distractions designed to make you forget your own finitude, memento mori cuts through the noise like nothing else. A simple daily practice is to ask yourself each morning, "If today were my last day, would I spend it overthinking this problem?" The honest answer almost always brings immediate perspective. You realize that most of the things you are overthinking will not matter in the long run. This frees mental energy for what actually does matter, living with virtue, presence, and purpose. The fourth technique is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Instead of letting your mind surprise you with worst-case scenarios throughout the day, you deliberately sit down once a day and mentally rehearse potential difficulties. You imagine the challenges you might face and decide in advance how you will respond with calm and virtue. This removes the shock and emotional fuel that normally triggers overthinking. When the real difficulty arrives, your mind is already prepared. It does not spiral because you have already faced it in your imagination. Seneca used this practice extensively. He prepared himself for poverty, exile, and loss so that when they came, they had less power over him. You can apply the same method to modern life. Spend 5 minutes each morning imagining a difficult conversation, a rejection, or a setback, and mentally rehearse responding with dignity and focus. Over time, your mind stops treating every uncertainty as a crisis and learns to stay steady. The fifth Stoic technique is daily evening reflection, the habit Marcus Aurelius practiced faithfully. At the end of each day, take 10 quiet minutes to review what happened. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What can I improve tomorrow? This reflection is not self-criticism. It is honest self-examination without judgment. By reviewing your day calmly, you prevent the mind from carrying unresolved thoughts into the night where they turn into rumination and sleeplessness. The evening review brings closure. It allows you to learn from mistakes without letting them haunt you. It trains your mind to move forward instead of looping backward. Many people who adopt this single habit report that their overthinking decreases dramatically within 2 weeks because their mind knows it will have a dedicated time to process thoughts each evening. The sixth technique is the deliberate cultivation of silence and presence. Overthinking thrives in noise and distraction. The Stoics valued silence not as emptiness, but as the space where wisdom grows. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When you create pockets of silence in your day, even 10 or 15 minutes without podcasts, social media, or background noise, the mind begins to settle. You can start with something as simple as a silent walk or sitting quietly with your thoughts for a few minutes each morning. At first it feels uncomfortable because the mind wants to fill the space with overthinking. With practice, that discomfort turns into peace. You begin to notice when thoughts are useful and when they are just mental noise. The final and perhaps most important Stoic technique is to focus relentlessly on virtue as the highest good. When your primary concern is becoming wiser, more courageous, more just, and more self-disciplined, there is simply less mental space for pointless overthinking. External outcomes become secondary. You stop obsessing over whether you will succeed or fail because your worth is no longer tied to results. It is tied to the quality of your character. Epictetus taught that the only true good is virtue. Everything else, wealth, reputation, health, relationships, is indifferent. When you internalize this, the mind relaxes its grip on uncontrollable things. You still strive for good outcomes, but you do so with inner freedom. This freedom is the ultimate antidote to overthinking. To help you put all of these techniques into practice, here is a simple 30-day challenge you can start today. Each day, choose one of the 7 techniques above and focus on it deliberately. Keep a short note in your phone or journal recording what you noticed. At the end of the 30 days, you will have trained your mind to respond differently to the mental chatter that once controlled you. You will not become free from thoughts overnight, but you will gain the ability to choose which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones can be gently released. Overthinking is a habit, and like any habit, it can be replaced with consistent, deliberate practice. The Stoics did not promise an easy life. They promised a strong mind capable of meeting life on its own terms with dignity and calm. That strength is available to you right now. It begins with the decision to stop feeding the endless loop of mental noise and to redirect your attention toward what is truly up to you. As you apply these techniques day after day, you will notice a profound shift. Your mind becomes quieter. Your decisions become clearer. Your peace becomes more stable. You stop living as a slave to your thoughts and start living as their master. This is the Stoic way. This is how you stop overthinking everything and finally reclaim the calm, focused, purposeful life you deserve. Thank you for watching this video. If these Stoic techniques resonated with you, please hit the like button. It helps the message reach more people who are struggling with the same mental battles. Subscribe to Rise as a Stoic and turn on notifications so you never miss the next practical lesson on building unbreakable mental strength. In the comments, tell me which of the 7 techniques you are going to start with today. I read every single comment, and I am genuinely rooting for your growth. In the next video, we will explore a more fatty and how to love your fate even when everything seems to be going wrong. Until then, remember, your mind is the one thing you can truly control. Guard it wisely. Stay calm, stay strong, and keep rising. I will see you in the next lesson.